Welcome back, beautiful people, for another game of StarCraft on fastest map, the Styler 5.0 map to be more specific. It's been a while since I have last casted the game. I was very busy the last couple of days, so I haven't been doing any casts at all. But that aside, that's not very important. What is important is the two players, namely player 458, the player 458 playing the blue Protoss, and he's up against Agarihara, who is playing the orange Terran. I will refer to him as Agi or Aga, or whatever. I'll probably refer to him as something else as the game goes on, because I never stick to that at all. And 458 is a Protoss specialist, and he garnered some fame in the Korean scene after he was featured in some Flash videos where he was playing fastest, and all of a sudden everyone and their nan wanted to play against 458. So 458 is kind of a popular player in Korea, specifically in the fastest map scene. And he's starting off with the usual build that we see, which is an 8-9 pylon and 2 gateways, and then a pylon at the choke, and scouting with that same probe that you made the pylon at the choke with. Whereas Agari is doing the same thing we also usually see, which is 3 barracks and a depot, and scouting with the SCV that finishes the first barracks. So no gas. Some people like to instead use that same SCV to build gas to help them get their stim upgrade way faster than they could if they didn't, because now it's going to take a while before he has his stim. But I presume that he knows that he doesn't need stim very early on, because 458 is pretty much always doing one or 4 different builds that he always uses, and this is the one he uses like 90% of the time, because like no matter what the Terran does, you only need 2 gateways really to fight off whatever units the Terran has. And there's the Forge that's coming out, and by the time the Terran has enough units to fight off the Zealots that you've been pumping with the 2 gateways, you will have 2 cannons finishing. That is if you start the cannons about right after you finish the Forge or get gas. It's really up around that point. But by the time, the point is that by the time the Terran can attack you, you will have cannons up here. Given that he has 300 minerals or 400 minerals, he's throwing down 2 cannons, and these 4 zealots, which will be 6 zealots. Yes, 6 zealots now. They will be able to fight off these 12 marines. Like a single zealot can kill 3 marines if the marines aren't microed properly. Although this is quite unfortunate for 458, as his zealots get cut out in the open and take a little bit of damage from the marines from Agari, but Agari knows that he cannot take down these 6 zealots with his 12 marines before the cannons finish. So the cannons finish, Agari pulls back. I keep messing up the name I'm able to correct it just in time, but I keep wanting to say agarihara, and he's going in, he's killing a lot of marines, and then not the most optimal micro, but there's not a lot of need for micro, it seems, although he did lose at least 6 marines there, and 4 of the zealots went down, and now he's trying to go in, and Agari manages to block off the zealot, make it walk a little bit more, and the zealots are now going to just scout the entire base of Agari, and Agari now a little bit exposed at the front too. Like 2 more zealots are coming in, and while Agari is being distracted by the zealots, 458 has started the cybernetics core, a cannon, and there is a robotics facility. We will probably there's the second one. I was just about to mention it, but he beat me to it. 2 robotics facilities, so we will definitely be seeing a shuttle with 2 Reavers in it, and most likely a Citadel of Adun too. So he's adding on a gateway. So we'll be planning on probably going for a frontal attack, but we did lose a lot of zealots there in that attack. So we might actually not be going for a frontal attack at all. Looks like he's just going to fully commit to drops. And Agari is actually lifting up all of his barracks. And he believes he has the skills to just hold off whatever 458 is going to throw at him with only these 16 or so Marines he's got here in his base. Let's accept 18 Marines he got in his base. And the production of tanks and villagers that he will be having up in just a little bit. He's already throwing down 4 factories. That's pretty early for 4 factories, but given that he no longer has to produce Marines, he can afford it. And he's just hovering the barracks over the wall so you can see incoming traffic and incoming shuttles coming from 458 base. And he's doing it from almost every single direction aside from this little corner here that's still covered in the fog of war. Thrown down a scan. What did he scan? He scanned the choke, so he now sees the 3 robotics facilities of 458. So he anticipated correctly. And he knows exactly what's coming up. And there's a little of a dune. Shuttle speed is started for 458. And Agari is upgrading siege mode. And he's already going for... what's the name again? Charon boosters for Goliaths. Like the Goliath range for the air attacks. Really great stuff. And here we have some really cute, kind of unnecessary, but really cute display of patrol micro. And both players realizing that it's kind of redundant to be doing that, give up on it and put their APM elsewhere. Here we have 2 drops, a single drop, 2 shuttles, one filled with 2 reavers, one filled with 4 zealots. And there Agari scans again and he sees that the shuttles are gone, so he knows that a drop is about to hit him. Just doesn't know which direction, but he most certainly knows that it's not coming from the left side because he would have already seen it. And now he sees the shuttles and he responds very quickly, and he has the Goliaths out. The Goliaths fare way better against reavers than Marines would, but this still looks to be a very, very tricky and very dangerous situation for Agari. But Agari manages to at least save his SCVs, but the reavers did take down all of the tanks and Goliaths that he has stationed around there. Well, that's very unfortunate for him. He also lost a turret and losing a couple of SCVs being targeted down by the zealots. And there goes another SCV, and he kills both of the zealots, but he makes it out alive without losing too many of his SCVs that were mining his minerals, so his income is still in a very good place. But 458 in the meantime has added on Stargates, so we can expect him to be going for carriers. Just going to completely avoid going for ground army, and is just going straight into the air army. So here he is adding a couple of gateways. He's adding a lot of gateways. So maybe I could be wrong, but I see no reason why he would be starting 4 Stargates if you weren't going for carriers. Maybe he's planning... Yes, there's a second cybernetics core, so it's definitely going to be carriers. There's an observatory, so he's even going to make observers for the raids that he expects Agari to be throwing out. And there is the shuttle flying around the base of Agari. He's looking for the turrets. Like if you fly the shuttle like right alongside the hill, you can see the turret line. Like this little part that I've got highlighted right here. You can see that line from over the hill, but if you place the turrets there, the shuttle cannot see them from over the hill. So it makes it harder for the Protoss player to basically abuse the hill as a way of finding a weakness in the turret line that the Terran has around their base. This is pretty smart from Agari to place his turrets right there and prevent 458 that little bit of hill advantage that he would have had if he hadn't done that. And he's now on 7 factories in fact. One is still being constructed. There are the starports. And here comes the drop on 458. He's flying in over a weak spot. He drops all his units near the turrets outside of the range of Agari's tanks and Goliaths. He's going to take down a bunch of these turrets, taking down people maybe. There is another drop flying in, and the drop has a Templar in it, and the Templar gets dropped on the floor, and the Templar storms, and the Templar kills 24 SCVs of Agari, and Agari didn't pull his SCVs away in time while he was being distracted by the units that Forfeit had dropped just in advance of the real drop. So the distraction drop doing its job, but also taking down a lot of turrets that would have most definitely taken down the shuttle. And here comes another drop. There's 4 Zealots, 4 Templars, and 4 Zealots. So 12 Zealots in total, and 4 Templars coming from the other direction. He's dropping and unloading them as he's flying in, and a Templar drops out, and another Templar drops out, and 4 Templars have dropped out, and he's killing almost all of the remaining SCVs that Agari had inside his base on his minerals, and now his minerals have been hit hard, and his income is reduced by a lot. And a single turret also went down, but it looks like Agari is still in a spot where he can manage to recover from the hit that from the damage that he's been taking. And now these Goliaths line up very nicely. The Goliaths taking down the shuttle before Forfeit can get in range of the minerals or get a Templar out. And Agari is now opening up his choke. Not sure if that's the smartest idea, given that his minerals are quite low and his income has really been hit really hard, but looks like he's planning on pushing out. There's a Reaver that was hammering away at his choke, but he takes it down, and there's a drop flying in. The drop is going to fly in right over the Zealots. Instead of redirecting the drop away, he decides to drop the units on top of the Marines as he realizes that he can no longer save the shuttles. Now we'll have to wait for new shuttles, and a lot of units are being produced inside of Forfeit space. Forfeit is in a very, very bad position right here, as Agari is, even though his income is so very low, he has amassed a huge amount of units, and he's really planning on already countering 458, but he even has Goliaths out for the carriers, and it looks like the carrier capacity upgrade has only just started for 458. Maybe Agari knows that, and he decided to, he knows that he has to push out immediately before 458 can even get all of his carriers at maximum strength. So that's a really, really good timing from Agari, but Agari now getting counter-attacked by a drop by shuttles, and that was a really, really good hit from 458 on the minerals of Agari. Agari almost managed to kill the shuttle in time with his raids, but he focused down the wrong shuttle. There are still a lot of Agari units inside of the choke of 458, and 458 is now being pushed back inside his own base. And the carrier capacity upgrade has finished. Will these Goliaths be enough for Agari to push 458 back into his base? And even more carriers have just finished. More carriers are about to finish too. So there are already 8 carriers out and 3 more carriers are flying in. So we'll have 11 carriers with full capacity on their interceptors, and he's pushing Agari back away out of his base. Agari regrouping his units in the front of 458's choke, and 458 forced to pull back because he still has to wait for the remaining carriers that just finished to finish their interceptor production, but he can take down the units that Agari places a little bit too far forward. Now Dark Templars are coming out, and Agari has not thrown down the scan. Agari very poor. He's really starving for minerals, but he is managing to fight this off pretty well. 458 focusing down all the tanks, denying Agari from pushing further into 458's base, but 458 is now pushed back into his own bases. A lot of Goliaths have come out to take down interceptors and focus down the carriers. The carriers are... He already lost 3 carriers there. Wait, no. He didn't lose a single carrier there, but his carriers are all on lower HP or have burned through their shields. And now Agari microing back towards the entrance of his own base as he realized that he does not have the income to fight against Looks like he got hit by a drop there that I missed, I guess. Not one of my best games, obviously. 458 now flying around to the left side of Agari's base, and Agari regrouping all of his units, and his choke is now being attacked by Dark Templars, but the Dark Templars will not prove to be much of a problem for him. And here 458 is killing all of the floating barracks to deny Agari vision off the hill. And now 458 is just going to fly into Agari's base, and he's going to focus down the main CC of Agari. And Agari is doing his best to very quickly focus down all the carriers, but he doesn't have the damage to take down the carriers quick enough. And the main CC goes down, and now 458 is taking down the Goliaths inside of Agari's base, and Agari is really... 458 does end up losing all of his carriers, but there is now a drop flying in from under the cover of the interceptors, and Agari does not take them down quick enough, and the Templar does get over. The Templar gets shut down by the siege tank quick enough, and all of 458's carriers have died. Agari, however, is now stuck without a main CC. He does have a lot of units out, and he has some upgrades on his ground units too, so he might be able to go for the counter push, but I don't think he will have enough income to keep sustaining his counter push. But he is going for it anyway. No, he's deciding against it. He's pulling back, and there are Templars out in front of the base, but he scans them immediately before they can do any real damage, although they do take down a single Goliath. Now he's pushing out. 458 already made a couple of cannons as a small delay for Agari, so Agari cannot immediately push out and counter. He has to take down these cannons in the middle first, and Agari has not started new buildings, new turrets to defend himself against drops, and there is another drop flying out away from 458's base, and 458 is definitely... that drop might actually be the game ender, as there's only a single tank there to defend against the drop, but all of these units in the middle are doing a really good job of pushing and killing the cannons that 458 built as a little buffer and delay on the middle. And he is pushing in, he's walking forward, and there the drop is now flying in. It's a total of 4 shuttles, which are all filled with Zealots and Templars, and he's dropping them all on top of the SCVs, and he gets a really good storm off, another good storm off. He gets 3 very good storms off on all of Agari's SCVs, and Agari decides to tap out because Agari now realizes that he can no longer win the game and he is lost. And that is a very tense game. A lot of back and forth that you wouldn't usually expect to be seeing so early on into the game, which makes me wonder, who the hell is this Agari guy? Because he played a lot like how Brain would play, deciding for a very, very early counterattack on a very low factory count, and even managing to do some really good damage with his counterattack, even though he is on such low minerals. But the counterattack that Agari threw out against 458 was not sufficient, and 458's consistency in being able to get his drops in and consistently threaten Agari's minerals paid off, as he's able to end the game with his carriers and the drops. And Agari doesn't even call GG. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll admit it wasn't one of my best casts. Really have to get back into it. Sometimes I'm feeling it, sometimes I'm not feeling it. Today, I guess I wasn't really feeling it that well, but I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and I hope you are looking forward to the next one.